Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into Michael Sandel's incredible book, The Case Against Perfection. We're living in this wild time where we can do more than just cure diseases. We might actually be able to redesign what it means to be human. The question is, should we? All right, let's get into it.
So, to really get to the heart of this, we're going to start with a couple of real-life stories, and they raise some really tricky questions about what it even means to, well, to design a child.
So, let me tell you about Sharon Ducheneau and Candy McCullough. They're a deaf couple, and when they decided to have a child, they went looking for a sperm donor who also had a history of deafness in his family. Why? Because they wanted a child who would share their culture. To them, deafness isn't a disability. It's an identity. And wow, did their choice cause an uproar.
Okay, but now look at this. On one side, you have the deaf couple's choice, which sparked all this public outrage. But on the other, you've got an ad that ran in Ivy League newspapers offering $50,000 for an egg from a woman with very specific, and you could say, premium traits. And that barely made a ripple. So what's going on here? What's the real difference? Is it about picking deafness versus picking height? Or is it the act of picking itself that makes us uneasy?
Now, Sandel argues that stories like these are really just symptoms of something much, much bigger, a deep-seated cultural drive to master nature, this desire to control, to perfect, to eliminate chance. And honestly, you can see it everywhere, especially when it comes to parenting and sports. And this quote, this really nails it. That's from the father of tennis legends Venus and Serena Williams. It perfectly captures this whole trend of hyper-parenting, right? This impulse to kind of mold and engineer your child's future. It's a pressure that parents and hyper-competitive societies all over the world feel. I mean, doesn't that push to plan for success sound a little familiar?
And that pressure? Well, it creates huge industries. Take a look at this number, $2.5 billion. That's just the SAT test prep industry in the United States. It's this giant symbol of the crazy competition to get into a top school, and that parental drive to give your kid every single advantage you possibly can.
And it goes even deeper. The demand for performance is so intense that we're seeing this massive spike in the use of stimulants like Ritalin and Adderall. But here's the fascinating part. They aren't being used to escape or to party. It's the exact opposite. People are using them to buckle down, to focus harder, to basically fit themselves into the system more effectively.
Now, to really understand what's at stake here, Sandel says we have to look back at something pretty uncomfortable, the history of eugenics. And it forces us to ask a really tough question. Are the choices we're making today, are they really that different from this very dark past?
This is just chilling. What's so shocking is that eugenics wasn't some fringe movement. This was mainstream. It was backed by powerful institutions, by so-called progressive thinkers, and even upheld by the Supreme Court. It was a project to improve the human race by deciding who got to have kids and who didn't. And this is the absolute key. The old eugenics was forced on people by the state. The new version, which you might call liberal eugenics, is all about the free market. It's about consumer choice in a kind of genetic supermarket. So the big question Sandel poses is this. If you take away the government coercion and replace it with individual choice, does that make the project of designing our children okay? Sandel says the deepest problem here actually isn't about things like a child's autonomy or their rights. No, it's about something way more subtle. It's about the mindset it creates in us, in parents, this drive for total mastery that chips away at a really fundamental human virtue. And this idea is the absolute heart of his argument. Openness to the unbidden. It's a beautiful phrase, right? It just means being able to accept the things in life you can't control or predict. Sandel suggests that parenting, more than anything else, is a kind of school for humility that teaches us to love what we get, not just what we want.
You know, parental love kind of has two sides, and you need both. There's accepting love, which just cherishes the child for who they are, and there's transforming love, which pushes them to be their best self. The danger Sandel sees is that this whole culture of enhancement pushes that transforming love into overdrive until it becomes this nonstop pressure for perfection, where anything less is seen as a problem to be fixed.
So what's the bottom line? What do we actually lose if we go all in on genetic enhancement? Well, if we lose this idea of life as a gift, Sandel thinks it changes three huge things about our moral world.
According to Sandel, when we stop seeing life and our talents as gifts, it has these massive ripple effects. He says we start to lose three crucial virtues that basically hold our society together: humility, responsibility, and solidarity.
Let's break that down because it's a really big deal. First, humility. If you think your success is 100% your own doing, you become arrogant.
Second, responsibility becomes this massive burden. Imagine a world where you could be blamed for not choosing to be taller or smarter. And finally, solidarity, the glue that holds us together, it just evaporates. If the successful think they earned everything, why would they feel any obligation to share with those who are less fortunate? Our society would just become colder and way more unforgiving. That's really the core of it.
So we'll end with this question, because it gets right to the heart of the case against perfection. It really makes you think about what freedom actually is. Is it the power to change ourselves to win the game? Or is real freedom found in appreciating the messy, imperfect, and unpredictable humanity that we all share?